Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive. We are diving into the world of Nigerian Gen Z content creators.
Specifically focusing on Pella and Javis.
Right, and we've got a really interesting mix of stuff to look at this time. Interviews, news snippets, all sorts.
It really does give us a chance to understand not just them, but also I think some of the broader trends shaping the digital landscape.
Okay, so let's unpack this.
Mhm.
What stands out to you from these sources?
I mean, the first thing that struck me was just the sheer energy and humor of these two.
Yeah.
I mean, Pella's style, it's kind of chaotic, almost nonsensical sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have Javis, who's much more grounded, thoughtful, and somehow it works.
Somehow it really does.
They're like a power couple in the making, and their fans are just eating it up.
Yeah, you mentioned in your notes that they're kind of opposites. Like Pella's this chaotic ball of energy,
Right.
and Java seems way more grounded. What's an example from their content where this really clashes?
Okay, well, think back to that video where they're trying to make pancakes.
Yeah.
Pella's like throwing flour around, cracking jokes a mile a minute, and Javis is like laser focused on the recipe, trying to maintain some order.
But yet millions of people watched it.
Exactly.
It's like that classic comedy duo where the straight man makes the funny guy even funnier, just in the age of TikTok.
Exactly. But it goes deeper than just laughs, you know?
Totally.
In one of the interviews, Javis admitted that she initially misjudged Pella based on his online persona.
Really? So she thought he was just putting on an act for the camera.
Yeah. She thought he was all about, like, public image and being, this big personality.
Yeah.
But then in their, like, one-on-one interactions, she saw a more thoughtful, even introspective side to him.
Yeah, so it's like, how much of what we see online is truly, like, real?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's something to think about.
It really is.
Yeah.
A lot of people can relate to that, right? Like, we all have our, like, online selves
Mm-hmm.
and our offline selves. But this brings us to another interesting point, that very public, very over-the-top proposal.
Oh, yeah, that was something else.
It was wild.
Yeah.
Um,
Go on.
the proposal is a prime example of their contrasting styles, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
Like, Pella goes big, bold, public setting. You can tell he's caught up in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Javis.
Looking completely shell-shocked.
Yeah.
In her interview, she even questions what kind of proposal it was.
Right.
She clearly values her privacy
Mm.
and probably would have preferred something like way more low-key.
Yeah. That difference in reaction, I think it might not just be about personality, though.
Oh, interesting.
It could reflect, like, deeper cultural norms or even, generational differences in how they view public displays of affection.
Yeah, that's a good point. And let's not forget the elephant in the room,
The ring.
the ring. Pella casually mentioned how much he dropped on that thing. Yeah, his nonchalance about the cost is really telling, I think. Remember, Pella found success young, making serious money from TikTok live streaming.
Hold on. For those of us who are slightly less online, break down this whole live streaming thing.
Okay.
How does he actually make money from that?
Well, it's like a virtual tip jar, but on steroids.
Okay.
Viewers send him virtual gifts during his live streams, and those gifts then convert into real money.
Well,
And we're not talking like small change here. This is potentially life-changing income.
So while some folks are grinding away at internships, Pella's buying a Toyota right after secondary school.
Right.
It kind of makes that whole work your way up the ladder advice seem a little outdated, doesn't it?
It definitely challenges like the traditional path to financial stability, and it's not just Pella.
Right.
Javis also pushes back on those older expectations. She talked about her grandmother's worries about social media.
Yeah.
But for Javis, personal happiness trumps those traditional concerns.
Yeah, it feels like they're both charting their own course.
Absolutely.
And that includes their relationship timeline.
Mm,
Getting engaged so young might raise eyebrows for some,
yeah.
but for them, it seems to be about compatibility and shared goals.
Yeah.
More than ticking boxes on some societal checklist.
Right.
They've built this genuine connection, and that seems to fuel their decision-making,
Yeah.
whether it's about love, finances, or even how they handle online criticism.
Speaking of which, Javis did mention struggling with the constant scrutiny that comes with fame,
Uh-huh.
managing those fan expectations, and, craving some semblance of privacy.
But gotta be tough.
It really does.
Yeah.
It's the double-edged sword of online success, right?
Right.
They have this incredible platform to reach millions,
Mm-hmm.
but they're also, under this microscope, constantly exposed to judgment and opinions,
Yeah,
some of which can be, downright brutal.
brutal. But it seems like they're finding ways to cope.
Mm-hmm.
Pella even seems to view the criticism as a sign of success, almost like a twisted badge of honor.
There's definitely a mental toughness that's required to thrive in that environment.
Yeah.
It's not just about brushing off negativity, it's about constantly evolving, keeping your audience engaged. They can't just ride the wave of trends, they have to stay ahead of it.
And that brings us to a point you highlighted, the whole award show category debate.
Oh, right.
Pella's been pretty vocal about that, hasn't he?
He has. He's arguing that streaming as its own form of content creation deserves, specific recognition. It's like the industry is stuck in the past, clinging to these traditional media categories that don't quite capture the nuances of the digital world.
So Pella's basically forcing a conversation about how we define and categorize content in the 21st century.
Exactly.
And he doesn't shy away from challenging the status quo. And that seems to be a recurring theme in their story, huh?
It really is. It's that willingness to disrupt and innovate that sets them apart. They're not just riding the wave, they're shaping it.
And they're doing it all while supporting each other through some really challenging times.
Right.
We haven't even touched on Javis's health scare and how Pella stepped up for her.
That's right. Javis underwent surgery for a tumor, and Pella was there every step of the way, which honestly surprised even me.
Really?
Given his usually chaotic persona. But he stayed by her side in the hospital, reassured her, and really, went above and beyond.
That's a side of Pella we don't often see.
No, we don't.
It's a reminder that there's always more to people than what they show online. Right?
Absolutely.
Like those curated glimpses, they rarely capture the full picture.
It's a call for empathy in this digital age, to look beyond the surface, recognize the shared humanity, and understand that everyone has their own struggles, even those who seem to, have it all figured out.
It's so true.
And it makes you think about, the pressure to project a certain image online, especially for content creators like Pella and Javis.
Right.
I mean, Javis even mentioned being hesitant to involve her own family, during her health scare, worried about their reaction and how it would be perceived,
Yeah, it's understandable, right? They've built this brand around their relationship, this image of being, strong and unbreakable.
Right.
To suddenly show, vulnerability, especially so publicly, it must have been terrifying.
It must have been.
Yeah.
Yet, Pella's response really challenged that fear.
Yeah.
He demonstrated that, genuine connection goes beyond appearances. It's about accepting each other's imperfections and providing support when it's needed most.
Yeah.
Regardless of how it might look online.
That's a powerful message.
It is.
Especially for younger audiences who are growing up in this hyper curated online world.
Absolutely.
They're seeing a real life example of how love and support can exist, even amidst vulnerability and challenging times.
Yeah, exactly. It's also refreshing to see them consciously trying to balance transparency with the need for privacy.
Right.
Javis even admitted feeling conflicted about bringing her personal life into the digital space.
It's a struggle so many of us face, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
Figuring out where to draw the line between sharing our lives and preserving our privacy.
Right.
Especially when those lines get blurry in the world of social media.
Right. It makes you wonder about the long-term impact of this constant exposure, this pressure to document everything. Are we losing something by constantly performing for an audience?
That's a big question.
It is.
And one that Pella and Javis are actively grappling with as they navigate their careers and their relationship. They're not just, passively riding this wave of fame.
Right.
They're deliberately trying to shape their own narrative.
And that intentionality shines through in their advice to aspiring creators.
Yeah, what does they say?
Well, Pella emphasizes being original, finding your unique voice, and not getting caught up in chasing trends.
Okay.
Javis, on the other hand, stresses building a genuine following and staying true to yourself even when the pressure to conform is, immense.
So their advice seems to have a common thread: authenticity.
Yeah.
It's about being true to something, whether it's your creative vision or your personal values.
Right.
In a world that often rewards superficiality, that that message is incredibly powerful.
It's a reminder that success isn't just about, follower counts and going viral.
Yeah.
It's about building something meaningful,
Mm-hmm.
connecting with people authentically, and using your platform for something better than yourself.
It's like they're saying, yes, we're making money and having fun, but there's more to it than that.
Right.
There's like a purpose behind what they do.
And that purpose seems to be rooted in their desire to inspire, to connect, and to challenge the status quo.
Yeah.
They're not afraid to have difficult conversations or push boundaries.
Like when Pella called out the award show categories.
Exactly.
Yeah, he was basically saying, hey, the world has changed.
Mm-hmm.
Streaming is its own thing, and it deserves recognition.
Yeah.
It's another example of them, like, refusing to just accept the way things are.
Right.
They're questioning those established norms and demanding better.
It's that willingness to disrupt and innovate that sets them apart. They're not just entertaining, they're actively shaping the digital landscape and sparking conversations about important issues.
And they're doing it all while facing, like, criticism and competition.
Right.
You mentioned in your notes that other creators, like DJ Chicken, have publicly taken jabs at Pella.
Yeah, it's almost inevitable, right?
Mhm.
When you achieve a certain level of success, you become a target. But what's interesting is how Pella chooses to respond.
What does he do?
Instead of getting caught up in, online feuds, he basically shrugs it off.
Really?
Yeah.
It's like he sees negativity as a distraction from his goals.
Exactly.
He's too focused on his vision to, like, waste energy on drama.
That level of maturity and focus is impressive.
It really is.
Especially at such a young age.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, what can we learn from their approach?
Right.
How can we apply that, like, resilience to our own lives?
I think it speaks to the power of self-belief,
Okay.
When you're truly confident in who you are and what you're doing, outside noise becomes less impactful.
Yeah.
You can stay focused on your path even when others try to, derail you.
So it's a valuable lesson for anyone navigating the complexities of the digital world, or honestly life in general.
Absolutely.
We all face negativity and criticism, but we can choose how we respond.
Right.
We can let it consume us, or we can use it as fuel to, like, propel us forward.
Pella and Jarvis are showing us that it's possible to achieve success on your own terms. To break the mold and to build a life that aligns with your values, even amidst the chaos of online fame.
They're not perfect.
No.
They make mistakes.
Of course.
They face challenges.
Yeah.
But they do it all with a sense of humor and authenticity that's truly refreshing.
Their story is a reminder that it's okay to be messy, to figure things out as you go, and to stay true to yourself along the way.
And that's a message we can all benefit from hearing.
Absolutely. It's a message that transcends age, culture, and even our level of, online engagement.
Right.
It's a message about being human, about connecting with each other.
Yeah.
And about using our voices to create something meaningful in the world.
It's about embracing the journey with all its ups and downs.
Right.
And recognizing that success isn't like a destination.
No.
It's a continuous evolution.
Exactly. And that's what makes Pella and Jarvis' story so compelling,
Yeah.
It's a story that's still being written, and we're all invited to watch, to learn, and to be inspired.
They're showing us that anything is possible if you're willing to dream big, work hard, and stay true to yourself.
And that's a message worth amplifying.
It's funny. We've talked about their contrasting personalities, their financial success, even Jarvis's health scare. But it feels like we're just scratching the surface.
Right. It's almost like each layer we peel back reveals something even more fascinating.
Totally. And they're not shying away from the tough conversations either.
Nope.
Remember how Jarvis talked about those generational differences?
Oh, yeah. Especially that clash with her grandmother's views on social media.
Yeah, her grandmother worried about the superficiality, the lack of, quote, real connection.
Right.
But Jarvis sees it differently, right?
For sure. For her, it's about prioritizing personal happiness and finding your tribe, even if it's online. She sees the potential for genuine connection and community, which is something I think a lot of people, regardless of their generation, can relate to.
Yeah, totally. It's like they're challenging those preconceived notions about what it means to be successful, to be in a loving relationship, even how to build a career.
Yeah, they're writing their own rule book.
They really are.
And that's what makes their story so compelling, you know?
Yeah.
They're not just chasing fame, they're using their platform to spark real conversations about important issues.
Totally.
Mental health, financial literacy, the pressures of online life, they're putting it all out there.
It's almost like they're saying, hey, this is our reality, the good, the bad, and the messy.
Exactly.
And that vulnerability is what resonates with people.
It makes them relatable, human. They're not, putting on a show. They're inviting us into their lives' struggles and all that. And that's a refreshing change of pace in a world that often feels, overly curated and filtered.
It really is.
Yeah.
So where do they go from here? What's next for Pella and Jarvis?
That's the million-dollar question. They've already achieved so much at such a young age. It's exciting to think about what the future holds.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll, I don't know, launch their own product line,
Right.
collaborate with other creators, or even use their platform to, advocate for social change.
Yeah, the possibilities are endless.
They really are.
But one thing's for sure.
What's that?
They're not going to play it safe.
No, they won't.
They'll keep pushing boundaries, challenging norms, and using their voices to inspire and entertain.
And they'll do it together, supporting each other, navigating the ups and downs, and proving that success is so much sweeter when you have someone by your side who truly gets you.
Absolutely. Their story is a reminder that anything is possible if you're willing to dream big, work hard, and stay true to yourself.
It's a story that's just beginning, and we can't wait to see what the next chapter holds.
But this deep dive wouldn't be complete without bringing it back to you.
Right.
What about your story?
If you were to step into the world of content creation, what unique perspective would you bring? What story would you tell that only you can tell? Remember, the digital landscape is vast, and there's always room for fresh voices.
Pella and Jarvis have shown us that authenticity, resilience, and a willingness to challenge conventions are key ingredients for success. But even more than that, they've reminded us that success isn't just about achieving fame or fortune.
Right. It's about living a life that aligns with your values, staying connected to the people who matter most, and using your platform, no matter how big or small, to make a positive impact on the world.
So what are you waiting for? Go out there, create something amazing, and let your voice be heard.